Welcome to the Magic of Study Skills. This series has 2 handy features you should know about. First, if you've ever tried to find a specific segment somewhere on well, we've made it easier for you. Each segment in this series is color-coded. To find the segment you want, simply fast forward till you get to the color you want. Second, it's annoying to reach the segment you want, only to find you somewhere whether you should go. We've provided a clue with this little small amount of color showing. You're very near the beginning of the segment. As you get farther on, there'll be more and more colors showing. We hope these added conveniences will make your viewing a little bit easier. Now, let's go on to Lesson 1, where you'll learn the 10 tools for total success.
Study skills. Some people might think you have rocks in your head for watching this, but the truth is you're getting a step up on the competition. Let me read this famous study skills quote to you. Oh, this one's too hot to handle. But the study skills quote says, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got. And the reason you're watching this video is you'd like to get something more out of school. Let me show you what I mean. Here I have 3 silks and an empty bag. In it, I'll place a red silk, a white silk, and a blue silk. Using just a little bit of magic dust, sprinkle it on the inside, I've transformed those silks into a flag. Well, there's something wrong with this flag. The colors don't seem right. Let me put this back in, sprinkle a little more dust back in here. Oh, I see the problem. I have too much blue. Let me throw some of that blue out. I'll sprinkle a little more dust on the inside, and yes, now I've done it right. Just because you have all the right materials to begin with doesn't necessarily mean they'll all go together in the right order. In our first section, you'll see the 10 tools for total success, how to put them together and use them so they always work right the first time.
The only way to predict the future is to create it, and the tools to carry out that plan. Here are the tools to help you soar like an eagle, not waddle like a duck. In this first lesson, let's look at the 10 tools to help you achieve total success in school. As we go through the list, be ready to copy it down, so keep a paper and pencil handy. Look at the items on the left side of the table. Compare them to the item on the right side. The items on the left will help you become happy and successful for life. The item on the right may keep you happy for a year or 2, but with time, you'll grow tired of the music. Yet the surprising thing is that the items on the left taken together, your premier passport to learning begins with a 3-ring binder. This is wherever you go. But your binder is lonely without all its parts. So let's begin by putting it together. First is the pencil pouch. Add your 2 pencils, sharpened of course, followed by your erasable pen, colored pencils, a flat, soft rubber eraser, and calculator. If you're right-handed like most of us, place the full pouch on the left side of the notebook. Why? Because if you place it on the right side, when it comes time to take your notes, you'll be writing on top of your pencils, ruler, calculator. Well, you get the picture. Now comes the tricky part, so watch closely. The first divider in any notebook should be labeled assignments. This is the fastest and easiest way to find your homework. Behind the divider, add about 20 sheets of paper. Add your second divider. Label it with the name of your first subject. This one is titled Math. Behind your second divider, add another 20 sheets of paper. Now repeat this process, 1 for each of your subjects. When you're done, you should have a complete notebook that looks like this. Here are some handy tips. If you're in a school where classes change every hour, tape a copy of your school schedule to the front of the first divider. That way you can remind yourself which class comes next. You may also want to think about keeping your locker combination hidden in your notebook. The first few days of school can be so busy, you may forget the combination. I know I sometimes did. If your lunch is in your locker, you may go hungry. Now that you've finished, let's see how students just like you are preparing for a successful school year.
Hi, man. What you doing? Schoolwork already? We just started today.
Oh, hi, Casey. I'm just putting my school supplies together.
You're always so organized. Is that why you got better grades than me? Mind if I watch?
Sure, why don't you follow along with me?
Okay. What's first?
The notebook. Last year, my mom bought me a binder with plastic rings, and it didn't last. This year, I asked for one with metal rings, and it really makes a difference. The first step is to...
Far.
Yeah, it sure is. All of this is. You just have to do it. Next, put the pencil pouch in your notebook on the left side. When you open your notebook, usually it is for pencil or paper. This way, you get to the pencil or pen first.
I bet it's not fun trying to take notes over all this stuff.
It's not. That's why it's on the left side. Next, add your first divider marked assignments. This is where you will keep track of all your unfinished classwork and homework.
I found that unfinished classwork becomes homework.
Yeah, and it can pile up fast. Then, I always add a copy of my schedule to the front of my divider because for the first few days, I always forget where I'm supposed to be next.
Imagine a bright dunce like you forgetting.
Even the brightest of dunces forget.
Wait a second, am I doing this right?
I think you've got it. Now, to finish the process, add the next divider. If your next subject is math, label the divider
Math.
yeah. Then add, 20 to 30 sheets of paper and move on to the next divider. Finish the process so that each to 30 sheets of paper. That way, it's handy if I need it, but I don't have to carry it around.
Well, you sure made it look easy. Now I'm all organized.
Whoa, we're not quite finished yet. When you go into class and your teacher asks you to take out a piece of paper, be sure you always open the rings first.
You mean I don't get to rip out the paper? Why?
It defeats the purpose of the notebook. Take out paper gently so it can be returned. Just in case you forget,
Me forget?
use the gum reinforcements.
I wonder what they were for. I bet I use a lot of them. We're done now, right?
Yep,
That was easy. Hey, Trina and Kashan are down by the park. Let's go shoot some hoops.
okay.
During the 18th century, a French scientist pillars and placed them one in front of the other around the rim of a flower pot. In the center of the flower pot, he placed a pile of pine needles, the caterpillar's favorite food. And at the end of 1 week, all caterpillars had starved. The unusual thing about this is only one food than it could possibly imagine. Today is your opportunity to turn right and begin your journey to success. But you must put this information into action. So start today. And in the next segment, you'll learn how to track every assignment so it gets turned in on time and you always get full credit. Plan your day to earn an A reminds me a lot of a kind and gentle king by the name of King Monty. Now, King Monty was a wonderful king, but he had one problem, and his problem is that he was always taking things and getting them misplaced. Fortunately for him, he had two queens by his side. He had the queen on the left, and he had the queen on the right. And they always looked after King Monty to help him decide where he should be and what he should do. But King Monty could never remember any of this. And when it came time for King Monty to appear, one queen said, "We know where he is." And King Monty, who should be in the center, had again become lost and moved to a new... We can't afford to lose track of our assignments. In the next lesson, you'll learn how to track your assignments so they're always handed in on time and you receive full credit.
In a study of 90 schools, grades 6 through 9, it was found that the major reasons students received low grades was because assignments weren't handed in. That doesn't mean the assignments weren't done. In many cases they were. They simply weren't handed in. Let's fix that for you. To begin your day, you will need a single piece of paper from the assignment section in your notebook. Using your mind's eye, fold the paper into 3 columns. The first column is labeled homework, or simply HW. On this line, you will write the letters HW if you have homework. In the third column, write the word due, and the date your classwork or homework must be handed in to the teacher. The center column is where you write your exact assignment. Now comes the fun part. We like to make lists. Then, when parts of the list are completed, we love to X them out. This is your chance to feel really good. When your homework is completed, place a giant X through the letters HW. This is your way of knowing that the assignment, but the X doesn't stop there. In the last column is the date the assignment is due. When you hand in your assignment, place a giant X across the due date. This is the best feeling X you'll ever make. It tells you that not only was the assignment done, but that it was submitted for a grade. Phew, now that feels good. If you've done this correctly, by the end of the week, your assignment sheet will be filled with X's. It's great to finish a school day knowing everything has been completed. If any assignments are missing an X, you either didn't do the assignment or you forgot to give it to the teacher for credit. Let's see how your friends are completing their assignment sheets.
I'm starting my homework. What about you? Have you done yours yet?
Homework? Oh no, I forgot all about it. That was my assignment sheet at school. How do you keep it all straight?
I have a secret plan that never fails.
When you show me, I forget everything. But I did remember my notebook.
Don't worry. It's so simple. I can show you in 2 minutes and you won't forget. Here's the assignment page from my notebook. My assignment log is divided into 3 main parts. First, fold the paper 2 inches in from the left. This is where you write the letters HW if you have homework. My definition of homework is any classwork that wasn't completed in class or any assignment given by a teacher that has to be completed outside of class.
In other words, if it's gotta be done, it's homework.
Right hand side. In the center column, write the exact assignment, pages to be read, questions to be answered, and so on. You know, the usual stuff. The third step is to write the date the assignment is due in the right hand column. Next comes the part I love. As each assignment is completed, you X it out. This lets you know that it's completed. Then, X out the date when you hand it in to be graded. That lets me know I've handed the assignment in. For subjects I don't like, the X feels real good.
I see. How do you keep from losing your list? That's why I forgot my homework today. I left my assignment sheet at school.
I always keep my assignment log in the front of my notebook. That way I always know where to look for it. It's easy to find at the end of the day, and all my current assignments are always kept on top. I never have to look for anything.
You're right. This is simple. But where do you keep your assignments until you hand them in?
I'm very forgetful myself, so to keep track of my assignments, I put them in my folder, behind the correct divider. This way I always know where to find them.
I think I've got it. I fold my notebook paper in 3 sections. I write HW when I've got homework. In the second column I write out the full assignment, And in the third column, I'm going to have the date that it's due. Then I X out the HW when I complete the assignment. I put the assignment behind the correct divider so I won't lose it. And I X out the date when I've turned it in. This is so simple.
It is. You just have to get into the habit of doing it.
A good friend of mine is a gardener, and she loves to plant beans. And in her mind, she knows if she plants one seed, she'll receive a bountiful harvest in return. You just received one seed of knowledge, but for that seed to grow, it must be watered and nurtured. Don't let this one get away. Put your plan into action. In our next segment, you'll learn the thrill of listening when you hear in one ear and it sticks. Oh, hi. Welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to begin with an empty can. Now, this can represents your brain. Where some people say information goes in one ear and comes out the other, well, that's not necessarily true. To show you that the can is empty, we're going to take a glass and just drop that glass right down through the can. The can is empty. And yet, when we pour information into the can, what we find is that when it goes in one ear, it doesn't necessarily come out the other side. Now, to prove a little bit of that to you, I'm going to simply place a silk over the top of the can and run it through with my magic wand and pull it out, and the silk is totally dry. And yet if we run the glass back up through the can, what we find is the water never left. In this segment, you're going to find out how to put information in one ear and have it stick.
Listen to these statements and see if you can hear two different meanings. What's up the road ahead? What's up the road ahead? Learning to listen is not an easy task, yet it can be mastered. In this lesson, you will learn to listen. But first, let's give your brain a little test. See if you can answer the following questions correctly. A farmer had 4 haystacks in one field and 3 haystacks in another field. When he brought them all together in his backyard, how many stacks did he have? A Montana farmer had 17 pigs. All but 9 died. How many were left? Some months have 31 days. Some months have 30 days. How many months have 28 days? Let's see how well you did. If all the haystacks were brought together in the backyard, there'd be only 1. If all but 9 pigs died, that means there are only 9 left. Every month has at least 28 days, even February. Did you fall for these old tricks? The tricks work because when we get something set in our mind, it's difficult to change it. So, how do we listen better? Here are a few simple rules. Number 1, picture in your mind what's being said. Number 2, repeat in your mind what's just been said. 3, do not try to predict what will be said next. As soon as you try to predict, you stop listening. 4, connect what you hear. Practice listening every day. Learning to listen doesn't come automatically like arranging your supplies in the first lesson. It takes practice. But keep at it, and soon you'll be listening and hearing more than you ever thought you would. Now, let's see how our friends put this lesson in listening to use.
A man builds a house with 4 walls. Each wall, a bear walks by. What color is the bear?
Bear is white. Because if all the windows face south, you're at the North Pole. And the bears there are white. Now it's my turn. How many birthdays does the average person have?
Let me see. Oh, I've got it. 1. You're only born once. Maybe twice in your case. Now here's a real stumper. Divide 30 by 1/2 and add 10. What do you get?
That's tricky. Do I divide 30 by 2 or by 1/2? There's quite a difference. Let's see, 1/2. In dividing by fractions, you invert and multiply. So I would multiply 30 by 2 and add 10. 70.
Right! Did you follow the simple steps?
I pictured the puzzle in my mind, and then I connected what I heard with what I know.
Did you repeat in your mind what you heard?
I didn't stop listening when I thought I had the answer, and I wasn't predicting.
That's the hard part for me. Sometimes I think I know where someone's going with a conversation. I guess listening is like any other skill. Just takes a little practice.
Yeah. The hardest thing for me was learning not to guess what my teacher was going to say next. Hey, is that a fork in the road?
No, it's a spoon.
I'm reminded of a story where certain African tribesmen capture monkeys for pets. They cut a small hole in a gourd and place the monkey's favorite food on the inside. When the monkey comes by, it places its hand inside the gourd, grabs the food, but its hand becomes stuck in the gourd. Now the obvious solution is simply open your hand, take it out, and shake out all the food to eat to your heart's content. Have you ever been under so much stress that you can't see the obvious solution? Today is your day to open your fist and let this new information become part of your life. And in the next segment, you'll learn how to take notes so that your grades improve almost immediately. In this lesson, Notes Are Not for Nerds, we begin with an empty cat food can. Now, did you ever notice when you're in school that information is really easy to understand while you're in school? Well, there's a reason for that. You have a security blanket, and that security blanket is school itself. It's an environment for learning. But did you ever notice that when you get home, some of the reason for that is your security blanket has been removed? Now, wouldn't it be nice if we could retrieve that information anytime we wanted to? Well, now we can. And to find out how, let's watch the rest of this segment in Notes Are Not for Nerds.
Notes are just that. Notes. They're personal and they're yours. They should represent the information you want to record. If you're simply copying information from a chalkboard, then you're not taking notes. This section will focus on 3 main concepts. Number 1, mentally preparing your paper. Number 2, taking notes. And number 3, predicting test questions before you actually take the test. Here's how it works. First, mentally prepare your paper. In your mind's eye, see your paper folded into 3 sections. If it will help you, fold a piece of paper right now and follow along with me. Once your paper is folded, unfold it. Now the most important part is section 2. This is where you will take notes. For your notes to be meaningful, they must have a definite purpose. Why are you taking notes? What do they represent? Here's some suggestions to get you started. Mind mapping is a great way to take notes. It begins by writing your main topic in the center of a circle. Then, as you take notes, you draw lines from the circle and write down what you didn't know. You can even have subtopics coming off your notes too. Continue taking notes on what you don't know. If the class introduces a second topic that's related to the first topic, draw another circle and connect them both with a line. On the line, write what connects them together. The section on the left, section 1, is for terms and their definitions, sort of like a dictionary for that day. Why does this work better? Because you have to think about your notes, not just copy them down. The more you think about them, the longer they'll stick in your brain, like the water stuck in the cup. You spend less time studying, and here's an added benefit, just by taking notes in class, you can predict test questions in advance. Here's how to use the bottom area, number 3, and it takes only 90 seconds. At the end of class, simply write down what you think your teacher will ask you about today's notes. If your teacher likes to give multiple choice questions, then write your questions as a multiple choice one. If your teacher gives fill in the blanks, write that kind of question. The point is, write it down when it's fresh in your mind.
What's up, Chief? How's studying going, sir? Not well. Thanks to that tip about the homework assignment sheet, we're getting better at some stuff, but I still have a hard time figuring out what's happening in class. How do you always seem to have it together?
It's simple. Would you like to learn a shortcut on how to keep all the stuff you learn in school in your head?
Sure, but where do I begin? The teacher never writes on the board. It's hopeless, G.
Not really. In fact, you have a lot going for you. See, you have your binder and your dividers. Everything you need to get started. Here, let me show you how I began. Take out a piece of paper like this. You want to fold it over once like this, and then another time over here. See, you use the left side of the margin to write words that you don't know. In the middle of the paper, like today we love my paper, and then labeled it. But in class, I got 2 words mixed up, constellation and galaxy. So I just wrote them in the left margin and wrote them down.
Notes are all about one subject.
The notes are for you. You can do them however you want. You can draw lines off the related topics and then write the relationships on the lines.
Alright, I got it so far. What's the bottom fold for?
See, this right here, this is how I get A's on my test. I'll show you on one condition, that you promise you'll use it.
Alright, I promise.
Word. Before class is over, I take 90 seconds and try to predict a question that she's going to ask on the test. And then I'll write it in test form. See, like this one right here. What is a gaseous cloud in space called? A, galaxy, B, nebula, C, binary star, or D, constellation?
I've got it. I guess the most important thing is having those interesting so they jog your memory. 1, record special vocabulary words in the margin. 2, take notes so they stick in your brain. And 3, predict test questions while the information is still fresh in your mind.
Yeah, you got it. But don't forget your promise.
Have you ever watched a football or a basketball game where the cheerleaders use a megaphone? The small voice goes in one end and a loud voice comes out the other. Well, just like study skills, you must first start with a small effort, and then over time, a week, a month, or a year, you'll see big, huge changes in your grades. But you must start with a small effort first to see big changes in your life. In the next lesson, you will uncover the mysteries of your double memory, and memories are made of this. Memories are made of this. Did you know that you have two sides to your brain? You've got a left side of your brain and you have a right side of your brain. The left side of your brain works with words and the right side of your brain works with pictures. When you go to school, it's like taking this bowl of rice, many, many, many words, and we pour them into the left side of your brain. And pretty soon, your brain is full. But we've only filled one side of your brain. If we could take that information, and instead of using one side of the brain, if we could use two sides of the brain, watch what happens to the amount of learning that takes place. We can double the amount of information that sticks in your brain. In this lesson, we'll learn how to use both sides of your brain and double your learning.
Your brain is unique. It has two different sides. Each has its own special function. The left side of the brain is used to remember words, put words into sequences and make sentences, answer logic problems, solve analytical problems, and keep track of time. It looks for and remembers details. When you sit in school, you listen to words strung together in sentences, in a 45 or 50-minute period for 6 or 8 periods a day. And you're supposed to make logical sense out of all the information you hear. But you have another side of your brain that's hardly used at all in school. It's the right side of your brain. Some people have said it's the creative or fun side of your brain. This is the side that has the ability to see the big picture. It likes music, movements, and dance, sports, gymnastics. It loves color, rhythm, and rhyme. Pictures play an important part to the right side of your brain. Here's an example of how this works. Have you ever been able to recognize your best friend a long way off just from the way they walk? Have you ever been able to recognize a song after hearing only 3 or 4 notes? This is your right brain in action. To put it in school terms, imagine being able to look at a test question and know the answer right away. Put sizzle into your work at school so it burns into your brain and won't come out. Use both sides of your brain. Take notes in pictures. Take notes in color. Take notes with a song in your mind. Your brain will love it. For example, 2 other songs have the same tune as Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. They are Baa Baa Black Sheep and the Alphabet Song. Is your brain humming the tune? See how quickly your brain worked to remember these songs? Let's put this technique to work for you.
Wow, those eye poppers. Where'd you get those?
In my class notes, I find if I make them a little different, I can remember them longer.
Great idea. So you mean if I take my notes and make them colorful and fun, I'll remember them longer?
That's the secret. You see, I love color. My brain remembers color too. This is a pen I found at the department store. It has 12 different colors in it. When I take notes, I change colors with the subject. Everything in one color is related. If there is something important, I change color to call attention to it.
Hey, those are your science notes. I can tell from here.
Yeah, see, I combine pictures and words together. My brain can remember with pictures a lot longer than just words alone. I only had a pen and a few markers that day, so I took my notes in pen and highlighted them in marker.
And I thought markers were just for little kids. Here, look at this page. See, we were doing vocabulary terms. Look at how dull this page is. I like the ones with color and pictures. The pictures make me remember.
This is one I did on the solar system. It's about Mars. It spins on its axis, has polar ice caps, and has 4 seasons. So, what'd you learn from these?
Well, you put the main idea in the center of the page. Put related pictures around it. And use color to stimulate your brain.
Yeah, keep all related topics in the same color. It's easy to remember that way. Just let your imagination go wild and have fun in class. Then you'll remember the information longer.
If the topic was boys, I could let my imagination run wild then.
Yeah, especially if it's Christian Slater.
Have you ever taken a risk? Have you ever done something that's really dangerous? Well, several years ago, I took a whitewater rafting trip down the Snake River in Wyoming. And one of the things that made this trip truly enjoyable was having a guide to show me the way. His experience and his wisdom made this a trip that I'll remember for a long time to come. Now use this video as your guide. Review it often and learn from the experience of others. Your trip will be more fun and you'll remember a lot more. Now stay tuned for the next lesson, Memory Tips for Total Recall. You ever notice that when you go into school and class begins, it's like pouring information into your brain? And just when you think your brain can't hold anymore, you move on to your next lesson and they pour that information in again. And just when you think you can't stand it another minute, they change classes on you and they pour it in again with even more information. And by the end of the day, you're so full of information that you wonder how you can ever hold on to any of that stuff. Wouldn't it be nice if all of that information that went into your brain didn't come out? Let's find out how.
Would you be interested in learning how to spend less time studying and still earn higher grades? To get information to stick in your brain, you must study often. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't say study more. I said study more often. Experts studying learning patterns have found we pay close attention to the beginning of something, say a TV show for instance, and we never miss an ending. Think about it. Have you ever watched a show that's really boring in the middle just to see the ending? Of course you have. We all have. Well, the same is true for studying. You learn most when you start out fresh. You also remember most just when you finish. It's like running a race. When you're in the starting blocks, your heart is pounding waiting for the jump. And when the finish line is in sight, you give an extra burst of speed. Now, here's a way you can study more while studying less. Cut out the middle. Study in short, intense bursts. Write down on a 3x5 note card what you have to learn. Fold the card and put it in your pocket. Then, when you've got 30 seconds, take out the card, read it, fold it up again, and put it back in your pocket. Do this again and again. This gives you a beginning and an end. Do it during normally wasted times in your day, while you're walking to school, waiting in line for lunch, on the playground, or just before bed. The more you look at it, the more you will remember.
Hey,
What's this?
something new?
I thought you took notes of that 3-part note system.
This is one of the best ways to cut study time in half and help me remember my schoolwork longer. By using this system, I can memorize all my vocabulary words, math equations, and new foreign language words in almost half the time it takes anybody else.
Hey, that's neat. Can I learn it? I mean, do I need anything special?
Only some 3x5 note cards. The only other item you'll need is a simple box to keep your cards in when you're through. Remember when I showed you how to take notes and predict test questions? Sure, but doing that I found my grades really went up. Test questions are only a start. Remember the left side of the page where you wrote down keywords or vocabulary words? Any word, math equation, or new foreign language or vocabulary word you want to memorize, you write down on a card. For example, today we're studying cloud formations in science. I wrote down 3 clouds, then I drew pictures to show what each one meant. Then you put the card in your pocket. And any spare 30 seconds I have, I take it out, look at it, memorize it, then put it back in my pocket.
I carry it around with me for a day, and then when I find any spare time, I just take it out and I study it. There's only a beginning and an end, no wasted middle time. After the first few times of looking at the card, I found that I can reach that when my hand reaches down my pocket and touches the card, I know what's on the card. An image jumps into my brain, and then I don't need to use the card anymore. So I put it in the file box, and it becomes a record for the next test.
You think this will work for me? When I study for a test, I use the test questions at the bottom of the page. I bet if I went through and I got all my vocabulary words, I can't help but get better grades. Come on, let's make some cards for their test Friday. Let's see, first, you write down the things you want to remember. And then, I put the card in.
Hey! Here's a tip. Crumple up the card and put it in your pocket so it sticks to your leg. And then you'll have to reach down in your pocket and see what causes the problem.
Not a problem. It'll probably get crumpled up and all those other things up in my pocket anyway. And I'll have plenty of time to look at it, especially waiting for my sister to get out of the house before my friends come over.
Right. Now let's do those cards.
I'll study this at least 4 times before I get home.
Try writing that down on a card and studying it.
Life has no shortcuts. No matter how hard they try, 9 women can't have a baby in 1 month. Everything takes time. Your job is to figure out how to use your time most effectively for you. In life, there are ducks and there are eagles. If you've ever seen ducks, they follow one another in a line, they follow the leader. Yet eagles, you only find one at a time, and they soar high above everyone else. They have a good view of what's going on, and they know what they want. Remember, you are the eagle in your life, and begin to soar above the ducks today. In our next lesson, you'll learn how to plan your day for work and play. Welcome back. And for this next lesson, each one of these glasses represent one of your classes at school. Now between these classes, we have some free time. Oh, for some of you it may be recess or passing time between classes, but it's free time. And after school, we have a little more free time. But in each class, we have some homework, and that's represented by the egg. With 4 classes, we have free time and an egg. Now by the time you go to bed at night, and I have to check this one really carefully, by the time you go to bed at night, you'll probably notice that all of your free time is gone. Now wouldn't it be nice if we could just sweep away all of our homework so we could enjoy more of our own free time? Watch carefully. This happens fast.
It's important for everyone to have time for fun. We all need to play a little. That's why it's so important to schedule your day. Pay careful attention to this segment and you'll learn how to cut some of your homework time up to 30%, resulting in higher grades and more time for fun and play. Here's how. As you sit watching this video, ask yourself, when do you have the most energy? During what part of the day do you feel you could do anything? Write that down on a piece of paper. If these good times happen more than once, write them down. Now think about the times of day when you have the least energy. These are the times you don't like to do anything. All you want to do is watch TV, play video games, or do nothing at all. Write down these times too. Once you know your high and low times, select the high energy time to do your homework. Why? Because you'll get it done faster and remember your work longer. If you do your work when you're tired, you'll remember less and it will take longer. So do it when you're best equipped. Now, let's look at the rest of your day. Sit down with your television schedule and block out the shows you want to watch. Also, write down any sports, clubs, or activities in which you're a member. If you or your friends have a special time to talk on the phone, be sure to write that down too. Now you're ready to plan your day. Put in your homework first. Schedule it during the time when you're energetic. Plan the rest of your day around your homework. A typical schedule might look like this. Now, here's how to cut your work by up to 30%, so pay close attention. Most teachers mean well. When a teacher asks you to read a chapter and answer the questions, that's not what they really mean. What they really want you to do is read the questions first, then read the chapter. Doesn't that make sense? If you're expected to answer the questions, shouldn't you read them first? That way, you have a purpose for reading the chapter. Under the old way of doing homework, you read the chapter, then you read the questions, then you read the chapter again to find the answers. You read the chapter twice. Your teacher only asked you to read the chapter once. So let's see how two students schedule their time.
Jenny, why do you have to do your work now? Why not wait until later?
I know it sounds funny, but I've got the most energy right after school.
Yuck, that's the worst time for me. I don't come alive until 8 o'clock.
Well, if you know that, you're way ahead of the game. See, most of our friends try and do their work when they're tired and not up to it. When did you say your prime time was?
8 through 9 p.m. I have my church activities after school.
Do you have anything else? Any favorite TV shows? Let's list them.
My best shows are from 8:30 to 9 at night.
You may run into a little problem. See, you're going to have to start at 7:30 to get done by 8:30.
Give me a TV schedule. I won't forget to plan the weekend. I've got homework on Friday, so I guess it has to be done sometime over the weekend.
How about now?
January 2nd is the most popular day for health clubs. Why? Because people have set New Year's resolutions. But something very interesting happens. By the beginning of February, 80% of those people have stopped going. Why? Because it takes 30 days to form a new habit. 30 days will pass whether you do anything now or not. Wouldn't it be nice if you had something to show for it at the end of those 30 days? Your job is to start right now and practice for 30 days and watch your grades improve dramatically. In our next lesson, you'll learn how to set goals, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. This is the story of gold, the gold at the end of the rainbow. Now, once upon a time, longer ago than that, before there were years or months or days of the week, a princess was walking along the beach and came across this strangely shaped bottle. She looked inside and thought it was empty. And just as she was ready to cast it back into the ocean, she heard a sound that said, "Help me, help me." And on closer look, she saw inside there was a genie, But the genie had been trapped in there for so long, he couldn't get out. So the genie said, "Throw me a rope. Maybe I can pull myself out." But the genie was too weak. She placed the rope back inside, and the genie said, "If you tip the bottle sideways, maybe I can walk up to the end. Hold on to the rope, and you can pull me out." The princess did, and the genie could hold on, but he was too large to come out of the bottle, so he let go. Now the genie said to the princess, "If you'll feed me and nurture me and take care of me, I will grant you all the wishes you could ever possibly want." Now we don't have a genie ourselves, but there is a way to make your wishes come true. Let's find out how.
Wouldn't it be nice if we all had a magic genie that would grant our every wish? Well, if you know what you want out of life, it's possible for all of us, especially you, to have all you desire out of life. What if you don't know what you want out of life? It's been said if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. So how do you know which road is correct for you? Because it's the road you want to take. We all become what we think about. If we sincerely and genuinely want to do something, we won't let anything stand in our way to get there. The more we think about it, the more our desire to get there grows. This is true for anyone. Just think a moment. Think of our friends who listen to music constantly. Aren't they good at music? Don't they know the name of a song after hearing only about 4 notes? The best way to predict the future is to create it. To become good at something, you must know what it is you want. Think about it often and put your thoughts into action. Here are the specific steps to reaching your goal. Step 1. Identify specifically what you want. The key here is to be as specific as possible. If you want a boat, what kind? What color? Where will you sail it? Step 2. With your goal clearly in mind, write it down in positive terms and write it as if it's already happened. I'm in my blue boat and it feels great to feel the wind. Step 3. Set a date for completion. By what date do you want your goal completed? Write the date down next to your goal. I'll have my boat by the end of next year. Step 4. Set a plan of action. How will you begin to attack your goal? Will you set aside 20 minutes a night to complete your goal? Don't worry if you don't have a plan right now. A plan will come to you in time. Step 5. Read your goal often. To be good at something, you must remind yourself often of your goal. Good musicians think about music, whether they have an instrument in their hands or not. They're always practicing in their head. The more you review your goal, the faster you'll put it into action.
Did you ever wish for something beyond your wildest dreams?
Sure, I think everyone wants to win a lot of money in the lottery, but only a few people really do.
Do you think you'll ever win anything?
Sure, you could be a winner. It may not be the lottery, but I believe opportunity knocks every day of your life. All you have to do is see it.
You mean we do it for ourselves?
Yeah, here's how I'm going to do it in math. I know I have to improve my grade in math to a B. I want to go to soccer camp this summer and my parents will send me if I have a B in math. So I'll write it down as if I already have it. Since I know it has to be done by the end of the year, I'll write a finish date of June 6th.
You mean that if I want to make something happen, the best way to do it is to see it as if it already has?
Yes, then set out to do it. My plan of action requires me to spend a minimum of 20 minutes a day on math until June 6th. And I'll tape this card to the front of my binder to remind myself about my goal. And read it every day.
Before you know it, you'll be there.
Before I close this lesson, I'd like to give you a quote from Helen Keller. She said, "The worst thing in life is a person who has sight but lacks vision." Today is your day to unleash the giant within you. Give yourself a vision and live to it. Goals are nothing more than previews of coming attractions. Every day you're given a canvas to paint your life. Only you determine how big that canvas is going to be. In the next segment, you'll see how to get organized at home so you can cut your homework time by up to 30%. Oh, hi. Welcome to our last segment. You know, good magic is like good study skills. It requires a lot of organization. Now, if you can get organized, it's possible for you to cut your homework time in half. Let me show you what I mean. Here I have a bottle of ketchup. I'm going to place it inside this sack. And with a few magic words, ippity-boom, zoom, zoom, we can convert that ketchup bottle into a tomato and an empty bottle. Now, wasn't that the most amazing experiment you've ever seen? Oh, I bet you're dying to look inside this sack. Well, let me show you what we have. That's all there is. Just put these lessons to use.
For your studying to be fertile and yield a good crop of learning, it must be prepared in advance. Let's get started with the basic ingredients. Begin with a flat, hard writing surface. Be sure your site has good overhead lighting. Have everything ready at your fingertips before you begin. This includes books, a list of your assignments, and any extra materials you'll need, like a dictionary or thesaurus. Now, here's an important rule. Turn off the TV. Advertisers spend millions to attract your attention, and they're good at it. There's a time and a place for TV, but it isn't when you're studying. To succeed, eliminate as many distractions as you can. Only you can decide if music helps you study or not, but be honest. If you catch yourself listening to the music while you're trying to study, shut it off. Now, put away all your toys. They won't help you learn and will only get in the way of studying. Now, let's test the waters. Review your assignments. Review your notes from today. Then open your textbook and review what was covered in class. Above all, keep focused. Begin with your worst subjects first. Save your best subjects for last. If you begin with them first, you'll tend to spend more time on them than you should. Let's see how our friends put this lesson to use.
Well, who's winning?
I think the beast is beating that.
Great. But your mom said you were studying.
I am. I just got a little bored. Somehow, this word was waiting to break out. Hey, what about your homework? On the way home, you said you had a ton of it. When are you going to do yours?
Mine's already done.
No way. That's not fair. You must have less to do than I do.
Not so, Kimosabi. Look, cut your homework time in half, get rid of the toys and the magazines. Get out only what you need.
Man, you're a mean person.
That's right. Now review your assignment and start with the worst.
But I English best. Why can't I do that first?
I know you. You'll spend all night on one assignment just because you like to do it. Think of it like this. When you eat, do you eat dessert first?
Hey, okay. Turn the TV on. First person's coming on.
And you turn that TV on, I'm leaving. I thought you wanted to get busy, so do it. Look, if you concentrate and get your work done, we could go to the mall. Look at the girlies. There's going to be a lot of them tonight.
All right, sit down and chill. Can't you see I'm trying to study?
During World War II, an American bomber was shot down over the North African desert. More than 40 miles from the closest civilization and daytime temperatures over 100 and nighttime temperatures approaching freezing, the crew had given up all hope of being rescued. The captain, sensing defeat, asked the crew members, "Is there anyone here who can't walk just 1 mile?" The crew members looked at one another and said, "Sure, we can walk 1 mile." Then the captain said, "Then we'll walk 1 mile 40 times. You've now reached the end of this tape, and if you've taken small steps, you've completed the 40-mile journey. If you stumbled and fell, go back and review the segments that aren't fresh in your mind. Good luck and have fun. Bye-bye.